So first, big welcome back for the Manhattan Transfer. Now, this is the first time that we've had you on, young man. It's Alan Paul. These guys have dates at the Blue Note, February 21st and 22nd at the Kahilu Theater, hitting the Big Island, February 23rd and 24th, and very exciting to welcome you to All Things Considered with us. Thanks for doing this.
Sure, my pleasure.
And have you guys, just to clear it up, were you here in July, or was that the ones that are postponed to the February?
We were, let's see, July. Yes, we were there.
Okay, cool. So, and
I believe. Oh, okay, because it was like the third cancellation on that.
Yeah.
It was like a whole journey. First, we had the COVID. Well, and actually, then we had COVID again because my partner Cheryl Ventine got COVID.
Our prior
my wife and I actually we arrived there. That was in February, and we arrived a little early because we wanted to kind of hang out. And when I arrived in Honolulu, I'm getting all these text messages, and boom, Cheryl's got COVID.
Wow.
We got to cancel.
Unbelievable.
And so then it was moved up. So we finally made it, which was nice. Yeah. So we're coming back.
That's cool. No, that's huge. Yeah, Cheryl's a lot of fun, and she always told some really cool. And one time we had everybody in the studio, and that was the time, I forget why you couldn't come over for some reason, but we had everybody sitting in the studio, and there was something. You were here, but it's great. Now we have you here. And now when you're not touring, we were just taking a look at, Alan has a nice gold record collection on the wall, as a lot of folks like Alan might have. Now, when you're not touring, where are you living, you and your gold records?
I live in LA.
All right, cool. So that's where that is. Now, before we get into the new record, 50, which is pretty cool, revisiting their biggest hits, the WDR Funkhouse Orchestra accompanying them, thinking about Hawaii visits that are a little more positive than the COVID era, the ones we were just chit-chatting about. Anything over your long, illustrious history that just doesn't have to be for shows, anything that happened here that's interesting, fun, could have been a vacation, whatever?
Last time we were there that we played, my wife and I went over to the North Shore and hung out, and we were watching all the surfers.
Nice.
And that's like a whole different vibe. That's so cool over there.
Sure.
It's like it's a way chill.
Are you a surfing cat yourself?
I am not, and I should be in it. And it's I live here. I'm like 20 minutes from Malibu.
Right.
And but I think growing up in New Jersey, as I did, being more of kind of a New York kind of guy, state of mind, I just never really got into it even when I moved out here, a long, long time ago.
Yeah, you have the New Jersey. It still sounds really nice. Sounds like we're.
Do I? People say that, but I don't realize that.
Getting pizza at the boardwalk or something like that. It sounds like, and there's another aspect that makes this tour kind of special for folks on the Big Island and in the Honolulu area and anywhere really who are flying in for it. You have billed it as the final cross-continental tour. Well, we're not really on the continent, but it's an interesting qualifier nonetheless. Explain what's going on and what that reference implies as to what might still be possible.
Well, we're going to stop touring is what, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary, and we're going to take it, around the world. We're going next week. We're leaving for Finland and Scandinavia. Then we're going to go back to Europe in the summer, and we're going to Japan. But it's getting harder. Doing the touring is getting harder. The world is different now than it used to be, and it's just more difficult. Touring. So, we're going to still be together. We'll, maybe make another album or two or whatever, do special dates. But as far as the touring, it's too hard. It's, hard on wear and tear on the body to do that schlepping.
Oh, I get it. Schlepping. Good word for it too. And the looking at the record side of it, when you talk about the difficulties, no question. And there's so many layers of difficulties that we're all facing coming out of the pandemic, or the first portion of it, or whatever you want to call the last few years. But when you talk about the record, thinking about 50, which is, again, this really interesting way of revisiting hits, and then you've got this accompaniment, as I was describing. Dial in on, I guess, there's a side to this when you talk about the difficulties. I'm always curious, who pays or paid to record it, produce it, manufacture it, pay any of the members of that orchestra, and market it? And then how do you guys make any money back on it in this era?
Good, very good questions. Well, this was a collaboration. The album 50 is a collaboration with the WDR Funkhouse Orchestra, which is a symphony orchestra, and they're not necessarily funky, although that's their name. It's like it's kind of a pop orchestra, and very, very wonderful orchestra, And we, prior to the pandemic, 2019, we did a concert with them in Cologne. They're from Cologne, Germany. And we had such a wonderful time together, all of us. We said, hey, why don't we do a project together? So then the pandemic hit, and the project got shelved for a year, and then we started talking about it. So to answer your question, first of all, so it's kind of split. The orchestra didn't cost us anything.
Okay. That's nice.
Because it's a collaboration with them, you see. The album is being distributed by Kraft Concord Records, Kraft being a subsidiary of Concord Records. So in terms of that and the costs for what we had to do in terms of going into the studio, they took care of that.
Okay. Oh, that explains a lot on that part.
And then in terms of how we make money on this, well, it's the same rules that always applied in terms of record. You get, there's a budget, and then, when that budget or whatever is paid off through sales and stuff, then we start getting royalties on it.
That makes a lot of sense, except for that really interesting part, sales. So how do most people access this? How do you envision, or the record company, how do people are going to access it in terms of sales that you're talking about?
Well, it started with streaming. So there were singles that were put out, and then finally the album itself was put out on all major streaming
platforms.
Platforms, thank you. That was the word I was looking for, and it wasn't coming up.
No worries.
And a couple of weeks ago, they released the CD on that. And then there was some talk about vinyl, but that's not going to happen because of oil shortages and because printing facilities. There's only about 2 that cover the world.
Unreal.
There's one in Japan, and there's one that's in Northern California. I believe there's more as well. But because of the state of the world right now, everything, in terms of vinyl, everything is backed up.
And so you're talking about the money back to the dough, that's coming in on the CDs and the vinyl, if any. That's where the money part is? It
comes there, and also with publishing. So as a writer, whoever is a writer amongst the group, we get the publishing and writing on that.
And that's based on sales, though, that make the publishing?
Yes, based on sales.
Okay, so whatever portion of the sales, you'll get the publishing, and then your own cut on top of that. Well, that's interesting, because we always are curious in this era of, like you said, you said it well, it's such a difficult time. And what's neat about it, though, for you guys is you are continuing this. This is a legacy. Not a lot of bands are tapping into something that goes for the length of time that this has been, but then in your own personal sphere. This is a treasure for us, because we didn't have you when the whole band was here. So starting with acting on stage on Broadway, talking about tracing it back in Oliver at age 12. Explain for folks, when you talk about getting inspiration from somebody's personal story, how you got all into it at that age and ended up on Broadway.
I was a child actor. I mean, at the time when I auditioned for Oliver, I was 12 years old, and as you said, and I was just that was my vision. I wanted to do that. I had studied in New York as a kid, dance, tap dance, and singing and all that kind of stuff. And I started going on auditions, and I went up for Oliver, and I remember it was an open call because I wasn't a member of Equity or anything, and so they have to have an open call. So there were probably about, I don't know, 700 kids there. I don't know, tons and tons and tons of lines around the block, to go and do this. So I went in and I did my song and dance. And then I got a call back and I went in. And this maybe for those that are aspiring to kind of go into theater and get discouraged and stuff like that. So maybe this will be a nice story. So I went in for my audition, and there was Peter Coe, who was the director, and Lionel Bart, who was the writer of Oliver, wow, the show, and David Merrick, who was the producer of the show, and Donald Pippin, who was a musical director, and there they were. And I come in sick. I had the flu. I had 103 temperature, and I had the flu and laryngitis, and I couldn't sing.
Oh my God.
So I get up in front of them and I start singing, and nothing is coming out. And I turn to the piano player and I say, "Stop." And I said, "I'm really sorry, but I can't talk." I said, "Nothing is coming out." And they looked at me and they said, and they said, "Thank you very much." Oh. And then I left and I cried and I thought I blew it and everything else. And then 4 months went by, an appendicitis. 4 months went by, and all of a sudden there's a call. "We want you to be in the show."
Whoa.
So that was it. So we did a 6-month tour around the States before we went to Broadway, and then we did Broadway, and that was kind of the beginning. And then I was like a professional kid in New York, went to professional schools, going on auditions, doing commercials, doing all that kind of stuff. That's how I started.
It's incredible. That's such a great story. So inspiring on so many levels, about having the chutzpah, correct, to do that.
It's the chutzpah. And I also had my mother.
There you go.
And she had a lot of chutzpah. Oh. She was my greatest supporter and really wanted this for me. Because, at one point she said, "Do you really want to do this? Because if you don't want to do this, I'm not going to bust my ass."
Right. Because it is a lot of work.
And I said, "I really want to do this because I loved singing, I would." So, yeah.
No, it's a lot of work. She had to be, to borrow one of your phrases, schlepping you around from place to place to make all of it happen. And in that path forward, as you kind of describe it really well, all kinds of different stuff that you would get your fingers into and yourself into as an actor. Any run-ins with cool people along the way that before, on the way to making it into the band, prior to the band, let's say, that just stick out as a fun? It doesn't have to be somebody super famous. It can just be another one of your great stories.
Well, and Oliver, Davy Jones was in with us. He was a Dodger in the show. And so, that was prior to the Monkees. And there were so many people that along the way, with the group. I mean, my God, who we've met. I met most of my heroes, Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald. List goes on and on and on, and it was like, yeah.
Yeah, and those are some of the collaborations, really. Tony, you mentioned Tony first, and he's such an enduring figure. And he's also a cat who's kind of always been beloved, but so much more perhaps after the diagnosis with Alzheimer's. And you were there, and you just brought his name up first. That often says a lot about someone's stories or experiences with a person. And that's a great way to honor him and your remarkable band and the diversity. Tell the Tony story from the first time you
Well, I think for me, when my voice changed, and I was, crooning, doing weddings and bar mitzvahs, to support myself, and singing up in the Catskill Mountains, which is a resort area up in upstate New York, at hotels and stuff like that. But my main influence was Tony. And I had an album. I mean, I wore it out. It was Tony's Greatest Hits, Volume 3. And I would sing to Tony every day. And finally, I went into the studio in Newark at Hertz recording studio, and I cut 6 sides. And two of the songs that I recorded was "Who Can I Turn To" and "If I Ruled the World." So he was really in my blood. He was such an influence on me, you know. Yeah, so that's why I think I named him first. You know, so when we did our Christmas album, you know, we had done something with Tony, and we asked him if he would come and sing on our Christmas album, and he said, "Well, I'll tell you what. If I come and sing on your Christmas album, then will you come and sing on? I'm doing a Christmas special." And we said, "Yeah, no problem." So we shook hands, no money, no contract, and that's
Wow.
what we did. And it was just being in the studio with him was absolutely amazing. Watching his process, you know.
What was his process?
Somebody said, "So Tony," I said, do you warm up, or do you?" He said, "Yeah, I sing like 15 minutes a day or something like that when I'm not working or whatever, you know." But just seeing how the process went of unfolding his solo, it was the Christmas song that Johnny
Mathis?
no. I'm blanking. I'll come back.
It's cool.
Anyway, so just being in there and watching him do that was amazing. It was like, I can't believe that I'm, you know, here with my idol.
And the first time you met him had to be, you had kind of like glossed over it, and I have to imagine that, and it's been the same sort of for me. The first time you actually get to run into them, you always sort of remember it. It's kind of like the day such and such happened to you. Do you remember that first time you met him?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was some kind of a benefit.
Okay.
And we were performing on it. It might have been, I don't know, maybe the Night of 100 Stars or something like that, that we commonly refer to as a Night of 100 Egos.
Yeah, right.
We'd just kind of walk out, I'd take a bow, and they'd go up. It might have been something like that. I don't know. But he was there and we were there.
And that's how you got
and we got to meet
the first contact. And your mother, when you think about the parent thing, and sometimes people have gotten to do really special things to kind of like honor their parents or pay them back. Like, I'll give you an example, and maybe it'll stir up a memory of you. We just had the Led Zeppelin's late drummer John Bonham's little sister on, and she was telling stories about one time John, to give his mother and father a gift. He knew his mom loved Frank Sinatra, so he got his mom and dad like really good tickets, and he got him a limo, and they got to meet Frank and all this stuff, and using his star power, you know, in Led Zeppelin to try to do something nice for his mother. So when you think of yourself and just cool things that might have happened that make you smile, and you think of cool ways you got to hook your mom and dad up.
Well, I remember, I think for my mom, I think just my success made her beam. It just made her happy. You know, she was a singer. She was not professional, but she wanted to be professional. And, you know, my parents got married and had their honeymoon in New York the day before my father shipped out.
Wow.
During World War II. He came back and he had a 3-year-old daughter, my sister. And, you know, she gave up her career. She could never do what she wanted in terms of that. And I think through me, she kind of lived that, you know, those dreams that she had for herself.
Vicariously.
So having that success was like that. And for my father, you know, he was kind of a pessimist about the thing, you know, he really wanted me to go to college. He really didn't believe that it could ever happen for me. And I kind of understand that, you know, he never had that kind of an experience himself. You know, I went to college and, you know, studied music and never got my degree and everything because he said, well, why don't you at least go to college, you know, and that's something that you can back up on. So I kind of did that, you know, but we did I don't know if you remember this or not, we did a CBS television special We did four specials that it was replacing Cher. It was a summer replacement for Cher.
75?
I remember when we were playing in New York at the Bottom Line, and my father came to the show, and all the CBS people were there and everything else. And he came backstage, and I was there with Flip Wilson. And he was a big fan of Flip Wilson, you know. And when he saw that I was there with Flip, he went, wow. I get it. Okay. And then we did it. And now he died like not too long after that. And I'm glad that he was able to see that he was able to get that. So
you do a very good visual. I can just see that moment and your dad and the recognition, like, wow, it is real what he's achieved. That he's mingling with a cat like that. And I had written down, that 1975, you got to do your own, you said as a summer replacement basically for Cher, 4 shows total. Is that what it was? Any other real interesting moment?
4 1-hour specials.
Yeah. Anything else from that you laugh about that's funny?
Well, that kind of came from, we did a special prior to that for Mary Tyler Moore.
Okay.
It's called Mary's Incredible Dream, because at the time, Mary was like the queen of CBS.
Yeah.
You know, she wanted to do a music special because she was a wonderful singer and a great dancer, really, really good dancer. And so her husband was like the chairman of CBS. So she did this, and it was like an extravaganza. You know, the concept of it was the history of the world in 1 hour, with no dialogue. It was song to song to song, just from one song to the next.
Amazing.
And we were kind of like the Greek chorus.
Okay.
So all these things would go on, and then we'd kind of sing and talk about, sing a little thing about it. And then, so we finished the whole thing. Arthur Fiedler and the Boston Pops were there. Arthur Fiedler played God.
Wow.
Ben Vereen was in it. He played the devil. And then he eventually hands it over to me at the end, and I become the devil. It was really crazy. Anyway, so they bring it to CBS, and CBS says, what is this? What are you supposed to do with this? It doesn't make any sense. So they had Mary go back in and do a scene where she's lying in bed and the phone rings, and she picks up the phone and she says, I can't talk right now. I'm having an incredible dream. And that became the title, Mary's Incredible Dream. That was fun.
I love it, man. You got so many great stories. It's huge, man.
I got a million of them.
I know you certainly do. And I guess a final one as we go to wrap it up with you. If you got time for just one more, bringing it back to the band. And you guys, didn't the legendary Ahmet Ertegun sign you guys? Is there any cool stories with Ahmet?
Oh yeah. Well, it took Ahmet. We started in '72. We were working in New York, selling out, doing really, really well. And, we had all the record companies, somebody like an A&R guy or whoever, middle management guys or whatever, come down to see us, and nobody would sign us. Nobody would take that risk because we weren't commercial in a sense of what was commercial on radio, and nobody wanted to take the risk. And after 2.5 years, we got together with Aaron Russo, who at the time was, we were friends with Bette Midler.
Right.
And Bette was signed to Atlantic. And so one night we see them in this bar, we're hanging out, and Aaron asks us, so how you doing? How's it going? He said, it's not going. We can't get a record deal. We're trying and everything else. He said, okay, well, if there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. So the next day we're on the phone, Aaron, we need your help. So a week after that, we were playing in Philadelphia at the Bijou Cafe. And he says, hold a show. You know, Martin Mull was opening for us. So we said to Martin, extend. He said, I'm bringing somebody down. So, you know, we kept having him extend and everything. And then we did our show. And then he comes backstage, Aaron, and with him is Ahmet Ertegun. And Ahmet already he kind of knew about us. I think that he had heard a demo that we had done. And he's right there to us. He says, I love you guys. You guys are amazing. You know, I want you to be on my label. And that was it. And Atlantic was our first choice. Atlantic was where we wanted to go. I mean, and that's true, you know, because of their history, you know,
sure.
All, you know, Aretha Franklin,
right.
John Coltrane, the Drifters, the Clovers, Aretha Franklin. I mean, everything that they did, you know, and we became Ahmet's group. You know, and so everybody, you know, we had Ahmet's blessings, you know, and he allowed us to explore. He allowed us album to album to explore and to try different things, you know, and so, yeah, we owe so much to him, so much.
Wow, that's huge, huge, and a very, very famous cat. And we've gotten to hear so many cool stories about people's different interactions with him through the years, influential on so many bands, like you were saying, and many more too that you didn't mention, from Crosby, Stills and Nash, and Led Zeppelin and Bad Company, and so many groups. Well, we're looking forward to you guys coming on back to the area. It's going to be really cool, and you're going to be obviously toting along your new record and sharing stuff from 50. It is the Manhattan Transfer, and Alan Paul joining us here. And what a fun thing, man. You are armed with stories, and I am sure that folks are just going to be loaded down with fun when they're there. Is there a favorite song of the show? Do you ever sing anything by yourself?
Sometimes we do. This particular show, what we're actually going to be working with a big band.
At the Hawaii shows.
Yeah, we've never done that in Hawaii, so that's going to be great. You know, and we've been doing that. So we're doing, you know, a lot of charts and stuff, the early stuff, and also the vocalese stuff, the charts. You know, so it's a fabulous time to be able to hear those things again. Some of these charts we haven't, you know, sung to in a long time. You know,
we're looking forward to it. To it, and Big Island, and also in Honolulu, and hope you had fun today. Was this okay?
Yeah, man, this was a cool hang.
You got some good storytelling going on over there, partner. You got a gift with that. Big mahalo on that. I'm serious. That was a lot of fun. And sending you hugs, high fives. And it's February 21st and 22nd, Blue Note, Hawaii. February 23rd and 24th, Kahilu Theater, Kamuela, and the Manhattan Transfer. Back, Alan Paul, new album, 50. And stay safe, travel safe as you head our way, brother.
Thank you, man.
Take care. Aloha.
Are you going to come?
I'm hoping to get down there. I haven't been to anything since the thing happened because.
Well, shit, man. You know, come. I got connections. I can get you in.
You got lines hanging out everywhere, man. Got like a guy with watches in his jacket. I love it. Nah, it's great, and you got a good thing. And we had the band in the studio before. I don't know if you would.
I don't remember why I wasn't there.
Would you do that if I reach out to whomever and say, would you?
Sure.
Maybe the four of you come by and we'll do like a quick little thing if you want.
Absolutely, man.
All right, I'll put the bug in.
We would do that.
I'll put the bug in folks' ear, because then we'll have that chair filled. I think we had the empty chair. I forget how we did it. It was funny. There's a video of it out there. All right, brother. Yeah. Hugs, high fives, and stay safe. Thanks again, Alan. I had a lot of fun with you. You're a lot of fun, brother.
Hey, man.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Aloha.
Bye.